You're listening to the Spill Sports Show Bracket Breakdown, getting you ready for March Madness on Selection Sunday. Let your voice be heard by tweeting at Spill Sports Show on Twitter.
We are going to invent our own show. I call it the Spill Sports Show. Show.
There's the pass to Leitner. Puts it up. Yes! Chalmers for the tie. Got it in 2 seconds. Unbelievable.
Here comes Jimmer. Long range. He's got his J back, folks, and the eye of the tiger. R.J. Hunter for three. Good! Ron Hunter has fallen off his stool. 3, 2, 1.
Boom.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Spill Sports Show Bracket Breakdown here on Selection Sunday. We are live worldwide on KRNU2. Matt Reynoldson, David Eickholt, Scott Ayers, the royalty of radio roundtables, breaking down your bracket and winning you money. We are having a good time here. It's a Sunday night and beautiful University of Nebraska-Lincoln campus. The clouds have cleared and the sky is bright and sunny. Now it's bright and starry because the bracket was revealed and the sunshine was revealed here in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Thank you to that person who leaked out so I didn't have to watch that terrible Charles Barkley analysis on CBS.
We don't look at leaked out brackets here on the Spill Sports Show.
Never have, never will.
We only do brackets with integrity. No, it was fun to see them kind of just troll Charles Barkley the entire selection
so
special.
bad.
It was hilarious. They asked Charles a bunch of questions to just set him up to fail.
Perry Ellis might get out of college by the time Charles Barkley figures out that touch screen.
Well, the fun he was mad he couldn't figure out the technology, and that's just great. That was just great television. Well, they asked him. They were trying to troll him, and so they asked him if Fairleigh Dickinson was based off one name or two, and if it was a man or a woman. And he got both questions right. Can you imagine if we just trolled Scotty like that, like those guys trolled Charles Barkley?
I'm down. Let's do it.
Do it. Troll me.
All right, Scotty. What's the funnest name in the NCAA tournament this year?
I'll tell you what, guys. How about Chattanooga? I like these guys. The Mocs from Chattanooga. You know what? They're 29-5, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about their name. Chattanooga, great name, great place.
I think Fairleigh Dickinson is the best name ever. I was rooting for them just because they were on the road in their conference championship game, but also because it's Fairleigh Dickinson. It's the greatest name. It's the best college basketball team name we've seen.
Besides
PCB
year. State.
Besides, tune in to Andersen Sports Live on Monday tomorrow afternoon for more of that. For more of us going out and trolling random individuals on the UNL campus about fake school names, which is what we did last Monday. I like Stephen F. Austin, though. I call him the Fightin' Steves, just like my Fightin' Joeys. The Fightin' Steves versus the Fightin' Joeys. I'm calling that for the championship. That'd be the best thing ever. That would be the best thing ever. All right, let's get to the real bracket. The East region, starting off with number 1 seed North Carolina, number 2 seeded Xavier, 3rd seeded West Virginia, 4th seeded Kentucky, 5th seeded Indiana, 6th seeded Notre Dame, 7th seeded Wisconsin, 8th seeded USC, 9th seeded Providence, 10th seeded Pittsburgh, 11th seeded split between the winner of Michigan and Tulsa, 12th seeded Chattanooga, 13th seeded Stony Brook, 14th seeded Fightin' Steves of Stephen F. Austin, the 15th seeded Weber State, and the 16th seed, the winner of Florida Gulf Coast, Dunk City versus Fairleigh Dickinson, the best name in the tournament. So, guys, let's start off with North Carolina versus the winner of FGCU and Fairleigh Dickinson.
Guys, I'm going to make a quick prediction. It's not even about this game. I think Bryce Johnson will go down as the most outstanding player in this entire tournament. Bryce Johnson is been under the radar all year. I feel like he's not talked about enough. I think he is an absolutely outstanding player who takes smart shots, rebounds the basketball with a vengeance. They have great coaching in Roy Williams. Marcus Page has underachieved all year, but I will take him every single buzzer being shot I need in the entire country. He is clutch. He's a senior leader for this North Carolina Tar Heels team. Candy Meeks is back. North Carolina is going to blow out this 16 seed, which will be Fairleigh Dickinson.
Fairleigh Dickinson over FGCU. Blasphemy.
I think Florida Gulf Coast and Dunk City will lose to North Carolina. I'm not going to pick that upset. That would be just utter blasphemy. I think North Carolina and Roy Williams and company are going to get it done.
I love the Stephen A. Smith reference. And if you guys didn't know, Stephen A. Smith did tweet at me last night, called me his brother. No big deal. Listen to the Spill Sports Show.
I was really hoping that Florida Gulf Coast would end up being matched up against Virginia. Because I really want to see Virginia lose first round. Take that, Virginia.
You like that? You like that?
Yeah, take that, Virginia. No, FGCU can't touch North Carolina though. They're a nice team. They were the 4 seed in their conference tournament. Ended up winning that. I think they take out Fairleigh Dickinson in the first 4, but I can't see them taking out North Carolina with as much size, experience, and talent that North Carolina has. A really interesting 8-9 USC versus Providence. What do you think of here?
Providence is underachieved. Think about it. They were top 5 in the country at one point, and they've really gone down. They're a 9 seed now. But there's not much outside of Chris Dunn and Ben Bentil. Ben Bentil has been under the radar all season. He is such a good player. He's got 21 points a game and 8 rebounds. Chris Dunn, an all-around stat-stuffing machine, but has not shot the ball well consistently. I'm going to pick Providence because I believe Chris Dunn wants to get it done in March.
Yeah, you kind of hit that on the head. I, too, think Ben Bentil and Chris Dunn are going to lead the attack. Ben Bentil is the leading scorer for this Providence team at 21 points a game, and it leads the team in rebounds at almost 8 rebounds a game. I think these two are going to have tremendous games against USC Providence over the Trojans.
Again, I'm going to continue my hate of Virginia because I was really hoping that Providence would be the 9 in Virginia's bracket, but they weren't. They're up in North Carolina's bracket, and so they're not going to advance past North Carolina, but they are going to advance past USC. Providence putting 2 better players on the court than USC's entire starting 5. Bentil and Chris Dunn have just done amazing work this year, and I was sad to see Providence falter somewhat down the stretch, not play too well in the rest of the Big East season after that peak that they had midseason. This was a top 5 team at one point, and I think they continue to show that they deserved that spot. That then they can beat a admittedly good USC team, but not good enough to beat this Providence team. Let's go down to a really, really intriguing 5-12. Yep. I think the best 5 versus the best 12, and so it's really unfortunate that they had to play each other, but it's Indiana and Chattanooga.
Chattanooga is a mid-major team that nobody has talked about all year. I feel like they're 29-5. I think they're a very, very versatile team. Not really, the team stat-wise. They don't really jump off the page at you, but they're a very good team. Indiana, I feel like, was underseeded. I've been critical of this team all year. Yes, they lost in the first round of the Big Ten tournament, but they did win the Big Ten, and I feel like that's definitely worth at least a top 3 seed. This is such a tough matchup. I may go with Chattanooga. Chattanooga, I believe, it's kind of funny because I picked every 12 over 5s, but I'm picking Chattanooga. Very versatile, very balanced team, and I don't think Indiana and Tom Crean have what it takes to get it done.
Well, guys, this is another Chattanooga is another team that caught my eye from teams from the mid-major conference. It's a team 29-5 that's led by Casey Jones, Trey McLean, and Justin Tullio, all averaging over 10 points per game. This is a team that averages 26 points per game, and here's the key factor. They force at least 8 steals a game. This is a team that's scrappy bunch that loves to play games, and they have a big win over Dayton. They've also beaten teams like Georgia and Illinois. Illinois, of course, not a great team.
Keep in mind, Indiana is also a very high turnover-prone team.
Exactly, and that's what really Chattanooga lives on, are forcing turnovers, and that's something they're going to try to do against Indiana. I like the Mocs in this game. Everyone wants to see Indiana, Kentucky. It's not going to happen. Chattanooga is going to take out the Hoosiers.
I hate picking this matchup because I want it to be a Sweet 16 matchup. these two teams could definitely make a Sweet 16 run if they were in any other bracket, not matched up in the first round. My heart was broken when I saw these two teams matched up first round. But Scotty, I like that you mentioned Trey McLean, who's really carried this Chattanooga team throughout the season. Indiana is very good, though. Really responded nicely from the loss of James Blackman mid-season. And Yogi Ferrell, obviously one of the best players in the country. He is just lights out. And, every time he makes a shot that nobody thinks he can make, it's just that's what Yogi do,
Right.
This team is so good. Thomas Bryant, the freshman, has put in some great minutes at center. And it's a really nice team that's really shaped up to save Tom Crean's job. I think Tom Crean definitely deserves Coach of the Year. And so with much hesitation, I will pick Indiana to advance in this matchup because they're an elite scoring team, and they proved that by being the Big Ten regular season champions. Let's go to another one. Kentucky versus the Stony Brook Seawolves.
Guys, I'm going to get a lot of flack from especially Matt, and I think it's understandably so. Tyler Eulis is the second best player in the country. I believe Buddy Hield is a slight edge over Tyler Eulis.
Not Denzel?
Nope, Denzel's number 3 on my list. Tyler Eulis, he is 5'9", 160. He has put doubles like crazy. The amount he has improved offensively is mind-blowing to me. And he is one of the best, if not the best, perimeter defenders in the entire country. Jamal Murray knows how to put the ball in the basket. Alex Poitras has that veteran experience. I'm going to go with Kentucky. I don't think it's going to be that close. This team is hitting the stride at the right time. Yes, they dropped a game at Vanderbilt a couple weeks ago by 12, but I trust John Calipari. And John Calipari, as of 10 minutes ago on SportsCenter, yelled thank you into the SportsCenter interview for giving him a 4 seed because he knows they are incredibly underseeded. I would have put Kentucky as a 2 seed.
Okay.
I like Kentucky at the 4 seed. I think maybe a 3 seed. Kind of flip-flopping back and forth with them and A&M. I like where they're at, though, in terms of the seeding. Stony Brook is kind of an interesting team. They're led by a guy named Jameel Warney, who's averaging 19 points per game and 10 rebounds a game. Double-double did our stats right there. And he could prove to be troublesome for Kentucky. I just hate picking Kentucky, but I think they get it done against Stony Brook. It's such a fun upset matchup that something possibly could happen, but I got the Wildcats.
Yeah, I want to pick against Kentucky so bad so I can stop seeing Matt Hardesty's stupid Kentucky memes all over Twitter. They're not funny, Matt, if you're listening to this show. No, Kentucky's a real talented team. Stony Brook might be a trendy pick right here, but Kentucky's playing well at the right time, and they have the athletes to win this game. We'll see what they do in the rest of the tournament, but I don't think they'll have too much trouble with Stony Brook. Although, if Stony Brook upsets them, I won't be that surprised. I won't be as surprised as the rest of the country. We'll say that. How about Notre Dame versus, and let's pick this first 4 matchup here first. Michigan versus Tulsa, playing against the 6th-seeded Notre Dame.
I am very happy Michigan got in. I think after that win against Indiana, they absolutely should be in. At 22-12, this team does have shooters, but when they're not hitting their threes, they're not great. 50% of their shots come from 3. They got Derek Wallen, who's an outstanding 6-foot, rebounder. And Tulsa, I don't think should have gotten in the tournament. I like Michigan in this matchup.
Yeah, I like Michigan in this matchup as well. I think that win against Indiana proves that they can really compete with the best. With that being said, I think Notre Dame is going to beat Michigan.
Mark Donnell has played really well down the stretch for Michigan when they didn't have a center that was natural to this team. When it looked like midseason that they were just going to be destined to be a small team and get beat up on the inside. Naturally, in the Big Ten tournament, they did get beat up inside by a really, really good, tall team in Purdue. Michigan's still a very good team, has excellent ball rotation around the perimeter, and I think they beat Tulsa. Tulsa got in the tournament somehow after losing twice in the last 3 weeks to Memphis. That's not good, and Tulsa should not have gotten in the tournament. I think that's garbage. I think Michigan should win this game, and I really can't see Notre Dame beating Michigan. I don't think Notre Dame was overseeded as a 6th seed. I think they are overrated. I don't think they're a good team. I don't think they've ever been a good team this season. They lost too much with Jerry and Grant and some others after last year. And this team has no Jerry Grant. Zach August, as much as the Irish want him to be that guy, is not that guy. Yep. And I think they run into a Michigan team who's inspired. I think Derek Walton plays a good game. And I think Michigan beats Notre Dame to take the first 11-6 in our, I guess the second after UNI, the second 11-6 in our bracket. Let's go down to West Virginia and the Fightin' Steves, Stephen F. Austin. David?
I think it depends which West Virginia team shows up because Stephen F. Austin is a very, very good team. Again, West Virginia turns the ball over too much. And as much as I want to pick Stephen F. Austin, I'm going to go with West Virginia. I think they're too tough, and they've really shown how great of a team they can be under the big boy himself, Bob Huggins.
I just got to say something about this bracket. It's kind of a sleepy bracket, if we're going to be honest here.
Yeah.
The weakest 6 seed in the tournament, obviously the best 4 seed and the best 5 seed in the tournament, but the bottom half of this region is just pretty sleepy. We got Xavier as the 2 seed, Wisconsin as the 7th seed, West Virginia, who's a very suspect team away from home. We'll see if they can make it happen. But I like West Virginia in this matchup. I think they can move on. Scotty, what do you think?
Take me home, country road, to a place I belong. Stephen F. Austin.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. How about that, boys? The Lumberjacks led the Southland in scoring at 81 points per game. Their senior forward, Thomas Walkup, leads the team in scoring at 17.5 points per game. This is his 3rd consecutive season where the Lumberjacks have made a postseason run, boys, and last year they fell to Utah in the first round. They just don't want to have that happen again. And guess what, guys? They ended the season with 20 consecutive victories. This team is red hot right now. West Virginia has to be careful. I got Stephen F. Austin's, or as you like to call them, Matt, the Stevies, going on to the next round.
It's a Fightin' Steves. Get it right, Scotty. Come on.
Stevies, come on, no.
No, I love Stephen F. Austin in the tournament every year. I really, really do. And they're a fun team to watch. 20 straight games, hottest team in the nation. And with a year that nobody has really stepped up to win a lot of games in a row, the Fightin' Steves have done just that. West Virginia is very suspect away from home, but I think Philadelphia is not that too far from their backyard. I think if they were in a different region, I would suspect Stephen F. Austin to beat West Virginia a lot more times out of 10, I guess. So I'm yet to truly make this pick. I think it'll be kind of an arm wrestle with myself to in this 3-14 matchup who I'm going to pick. But right now, I'm sorry, Fightin' Steves. I got to go West Virginia. I already picked a 14 over a 3, and I think West Virginia has shown they can do it. I just really want to see Daxter Miles step up a little bit more. How about Wisconsin versus Pitt?
Guys, here's the thing. Wisconsin has dropped back-to-back games since they named Greg Gard the head coach. Greg Gard absolutely deserves to be the head coach. I mean, let's make that perfectly clear. I want to see Nigel Hayes and Bronson Koenig really carry this team, and I think they can beat Pittsburgh, but it depends how bad do they want it. I believe Nigel Hayes will have an outstanding tournament, however far I have them going, obviously. But I got Wisconsin in this game. I don't believe in Pittsburgh enough, and I've seen too much good basketball in Big Ten play from Wisconsin, and I know they can take down any team in the country when they are on.
Yeah, you hit it right on the head, David. I think the Badgers are going to take down Pittsburgh in this first-round matchup.
I think Wisconsin's a very good team, but they ran into the buzzsaw that is Nebraska ball. And not a lot of teams can beat Nebraska when it's at its best.
Shut up.
Iowa homer over here is getting mad, but no, I don't really think Pittsburgh really deserved to be in the tournament. I think they snuck in with a win over Syracuse. Syracuse is in the tournament.
Yeah, Syracuse shouldn't be in the tournament either.
Well, we'll talk about that later when we talk about the Midwest bracket, but Syracuse in the tournament was garbage. Wisconsin beats Pittsburgh. I don't think it's too close. I think Wisconsin shoots them out of the gym. Xavier versus Weber State. Do we really have any reservations about that?
No.
Xavier's good,
Yep.
and Xavier knows how to play against these lower tier teams, and I don't think they'll have too much trouble with Weber State. Let's go to the second round of this bracket. Up at the top, North Carolina versus USC or Providence.
Guys, I believe this is Roy Williams last year coaching. I think Tar Heels are going to run Providence out of the gym, and I think Marcus Page takes Chris Dunn to school. I got UNC.
Yeah, I've got UNC and want a game that won't be close. I think the Tar Heels under Roy Williams. Do I think it's his last year? I mean, he denied the speculations big time, so that has me thinking, no, I don't think it is. Regardless, I think this team is very talented. You know, this is the first time in, 8 years that they won the ACC tournament?
Yes, I believe it was 7 or 8.
Yeah, it's been a while, needless to say. And, you know, he wants to get that taste of another championship. Roy Williams does. You know, last time he won was with Ty Lawson, Psycho T. Hansbrough and company, and so they're gonna beat Providence. Yeah.
Let me put it this way: if North Carolina wins this game, I don't think there's any doubt that they go to the Final Four. But I can't, in my right mind, in a year where there's been this much parity, pick 2 number 1 seeds to go to the Final Four. I already picked KU. And North Carolina is not going to run into a team that has 2 players that can dominate a game more than Providence does. Ben Bentel and Chris Dunn win at the top of their game, win playing well, and when their role players step up and play well, can beat anybody in the country. And I'm picking a ridiculous upset here against my better judgment. I think Providence takes out the number 1 seed North Carolina Tar Heels. Next matchup, Indiana or Chattanooga versus Kentucky.
Kentucky. Not close. I don't care if it's Indiana. I don't care if it's Chattanooga. I believe in Kentucky, and I believe in Tyler Ulis.
Yeah, I love the Mocs of Chattanooga. I even had them beating Indiana, which my father texted me and said, Scott, how could you? Your grandfather's going to be very disappointed in you. My grandfather, of course, lives in Indiana. And so, yeah, I'm going to have to pick Kentucky against the Mocs in this one. Coach Calipari, he's a wizard in March, and I think he's going to lead his boys to a victory over the Mocs.
I might change this based on what happens, what I decided to choose between Indiana and Chattanooga. But I think Indiana, if they play Kentucky, Tom Crean and John Calipari is such a classic matchup, happens so often, and I think Tom Crean knows how to beat talented Kentucky teams. This is a talented Kentucky team, but nowhere near what they had last year, and I think Kentucky has trouble against a team that can really score. In Indiana, I don't care what you say about them, they are an elite scoring team, one of the most elite scoring teams in the country. They turn the ball over occasionally, and they might not be the most efficient offensively, but they have guys that can score the basketball, and I think that spells trouble for Kentucky here. If Indiana makes it out of that first round, I think they beat Kentucky and move on to that Sweet 16 matchup.
And I want to quickly combat that because Yogi Ferrell, yes, he can score, and Indiana knows how to put the ball in the basket. Yogi Ferrell will not score more than 12 points against Tyler Ulis' defense. I think Tyler Ulis is a much better overall player than Yogi Ferrell, and I think he really limits Yogi's scoring ability, which would drag down this Indiana team against this great Kentucky team. Kentucky could win it all.
I'm going to get a little combative with you here because you've been a little bit all over Kentucky right now, and Yogi Ferrell is also a very elite defender. Again, another elite perimeter defender whose on-ball skills, as far as defensively, are one of the best for any player in the nation, and he's a senior. I think you're all over Tyler Ulis because what he's done versus SEC teams who can't guard for crap. And
Tyler Ulis has the swagger of anyone in this country. He has a leadership ability, and he has no fear to anyone.
You're going to go based off swagger?
No. As of last year, he stood up to a 7-footer who got in his face and shoved him away. What did Tyler Ulis do? He shoved his teammates off, went right back in that 7-footer's chest because he clearly wasn't his face because he was out-heighted by 15 inches. This team, under John Calipari's toughness and leadership in March, with Tyler Ulis' swagger, Jamal Murray's scoring ability, I think it's absolutely ridiculous to pick Indiana over Kentucky. And I still think John Calipari has some bad blood because of Christian Watford's buzzer being 3 against Kentucky, however many years ago it was. I believe it was 5 years ago.
Real quick, though, when that – obviously Indiana had that 3, but Kentucky did end up beating – Indiana later on in the postseason. So, I think there's going to be bad blood regardless.
It's one of the most hated under the radar rivalries in college basketball.
Let me say one more thing about that, about Tyler Ulis. a great hockey fighter doesn't make a great hockey player, and that's all I'll say about that.
But he is. He's a not a hockey player, obviously. Heck of a basketball player. And I think if
Swagger doesn't do anything.
I want to reiterate this. If Buddy Hield does not win the Win Player of the Year, I think you give it to Ulyss.
You give it to Denzel Valentine.
No, you don't.
I don't see
how you do.
Because Michigan State's a far better team than Kentucky.
I don't know.
Stop listening to Hardesty.
I'm not listening to Hardesty. I'm going based off the eye test and Calipari's history in March. He took an 8-seed Kentucky team into the Final Four.
When the 1 seed was Wichita State.
It doesn't matter. There's a reason why Wichita State was the number 1 team. They were undefeated. They absolutely deserved to be the number 1 seed that year.
Moving on to the bottom half of the East
Kentucky.
region. Because you got to go to church later or something.
Harsty's going to love me for backing him up, but I'm not doing it for him. I'm doing it for me.
All right. Notre Dame or Michigan versus West Virginia or the Fighting Steves?
West Virginia. Not close.
I've got the Fighting Steves over Notre Dame. How about that for a pick, boys?
I hate this bottom half of the region.
Yeah, I do too.
It's going to be a mess. It's going to be just really hard to end up picking, but I got West Virginia beating Michigan in this matchup. What about the bottom matchup in the round of 32? Wisconsin or Pittsburgh versus Xavier?
This is my 7-2 upset. I got Wisconsin beating Xavier. I believe in Greg Gard. I still think he's trying to earn the respect nationwide for his coaching ability because he was in Bo Ryan's shadow for so long. Nigel Hayes is going to get it done, and Bronson Koenig is going to get it done for this Wisconsin team.
You know what? I think Wisconsin is a great pick. However, I think Xavier is going to be too tough. Too many times during the season, Xavier proved themselves to be a very tough team. And you know what? Wisconsin got hot early on in the season, but there's a reason why this Wisconsin team just isn't the same as it was just a year ago. They don't have the X factors like Sam Decker or Frank Kaminsky. I think Xavier's going to get it done with guys like Edmund Summer and Trevor Blewett.
I think Xavier's going to get it done too. Not to devalue Wisconsin, because I wanted to pick this one. I really honestly changed my mind right after Scotty, you said your thing, because Xavier does continue to prove the doubters wrong. Xavier, you look at the name and you look like, oh, I'm going to pick a team to upset them right away. I don't think they can make a run, but they did last year, and they beat a good Georgia State team in the second round after making out of the first round of that tournament. And they're a well-coached team with Chris Mack, and I think they can definitely get it done as a 2 seed this year and at least advance to the Sweet 16. Let's go to the top and do the Sweet 16 in this bracket. Who you got?
Boys. I got North Carolina over Kentucky in a thriller. I think North Carolina is the most talented team in the country right now. And Kentucky, not far behind, but they have not played their potential this year. But I still think Kentucky is a great team. I'm going to love seeing this matchup in the Sweet 16.
Scotty?
Roy Williams, Tar Heels.
Both going with the Heels. Since I picked Providence to beat North Carolina in this one, here's what I'm going to say about Indiana, and to justify my pick of them making the Elite Eight right here, is that I think Indiana will be, if they get past that first round matchup with Chattanooga, they will have seen the best team that anybody in this bracket will have beaten in the first round. And I think that'll battle test them, and I think they will push through the rest of these games and make the Elite Eight from the top half of this region. What about the bottom half of the region? Who you got making the Elite Eight there?
I got West Virginia being Wisconsin. I think West Virginia will make the Elite Eight. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind.
The Fighting Steves, a.k.a. the Lumberjacks, a.k.a. Stephen F. Austin, will unfortunately fall to Xavier. As much as I want to see Stephen F. Austin have a Cinderella story into the Final Four, I think the Musketeers of Xavier are just going to be a little too tough for the Fighting Steves.
Again, I really don't feel comfortable with West Virginia, but I am going to pick them over Xavier. I think West Virginia advances to the Elite Eight, and I doubt West Virginia every year. And I'm sorry, Bob Thuggins.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm sorry, Bobby Huggins. I don't mean to doubt you.
Bobby Thuggins wearing those Huggins. Okay.
Oh, stop it. West Virginia, you need to be better on the road to convince me to put you making a run in the tournament. But right now, as of now, I have you advancing to the Elite Eight. Who's winning the Elite Eight matchup, guys?
North Carolina. Not close.
Heels?
Look, I love the Musketeers, and I really do think they're going to give North Carolina a great game, but there's just something different about this Tar Heels team this year. I like the Heels in this one.
Indiana makes the Final Four.
Oh, my God.
My grandpa's going to be very happy you said that, Matt.
Indiana makes the
you
Final Four.
went from picking them out in the first round to them in the Final Four, and they can beat North Carolina.
I didn't pick them out in the first round.
First round.
I did.
I thought
Scotty
you did
did
too.
I did not.
I thought you switched it.
No, I've wrestled with this one a lot, and like I said, I think Indiana will be the most battle tested from playing the best team in the first round that any of the top 8 seeds do.
I got North Carolina, not close. Most games.
Go Nuga.
The closest game for them will be Kentucky.
We're flashing back to the movie Hoosiers. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be fantastic. This is March Madness in a nutshell. You never know what's gonna happen.
Hit you right in the head. You go, wow, what happened? We take you on a little trolley ride down Story Lane. You're having a good time, enjoying our little tale, think you know what's coming. Boom, left turn. And all of a sudden you realize you're feeling something too. You don't know how it happened. You don't know where you are, but you like it.
But you like it. It is March Madness, baby. The best time of the year. And we're gonna break down the Midwest region when we come back. You are listening to the Spill Sports Show Bracket Breakdown here on KRNU2. Stay with us.